everyone, welcome back to my channel, and this is Teacher Yan, your J1 English teacher here in South Carolina. If you are new to my channel, I am Teacher Yan. I am a Filipino teacher, a secondary English teacher who has been teaching here in South Carolina since last year under the J1 program. For this video, I'm very excited for this one because I'm not only sharing with you sample questions, I'm not only sharing with you guys some interview questions, but I will be sharing with you the interview questions which most, if not all, schools and districts in South Carolina use for their interviews with their teacher applicants. So if you want to know what these questions are and what my answers would be for some of them, please keep on watching. Question number 1. Well, it's technically not a question, but a statement. Please tell us about your educational background and what brings you to this point in your career. So in this part or in this question, make sure that you highlight your educational attainment, trainings, seminars, or any professional development that you have been through and that you were able to go through that helped you in your career as a teacher, and highlight either a personal, well, when we say personal, it's still like connected to your person as a teacher, not like you were heartbroken, that's why you decided to fly to America or whatever, not that kind of personal, but you know what I mean. Make sure that you state your personal reason for wanting to teach in a different country, in a different place, or in that specific school. So what brought you there? Question number 2. Can you give a generalization, principle, or rule about education in which you believe? So don't fake it till you make it, okay? Do not. Make sure that you answer this question by heart. So right now, while you're watching this, ask yourself, what is your guiding principle as a teacher? Do you believe that learning is always by doing? Do you believe that education should be student-centered? Do you believe in beginning with the end in mind? Do you believe in scaffolding? Do you believe in tabula rasa? What do you believe in? What has been your personal philosophy, rule, or generalization that you have abided with as you started teaching and as you progress through the vocation? Like, for me, my personal principle would always be as above, so below. So if I expect excellence from my students, it's because I exude excellence. I try to exude excellence in everything that I do as well. Question number 3. If you were observed teaching, what might you be doing to demonstrate your belief in the generalization, principle, or rule? So for example, if you mention that you believe in learning by doing, when they come in your class, what specific scenario will they see you in that will tell them, oh, this is where we see and observe what she believes in or what he believes in? When they step into your classroom, they will see students engaging hands-on in an activity, or students grouped together working on a problem, solving a math problem, coming up with the characterization of their favorite character in the novel, something that they do themselves to make learning more relevant, to solidify whatever they have learned in class. So what will they see in your classroom that will allow them to observe what you said previously you believe in education? Question number 4. What does the term at-risk student mean to you? What do you think causes a student to be at risk? So this is your own definition. How would you define or describe a student at risk? Personally, my definition of at-risk students are the red flag students. Students who display behavior which generally would not be deemed as normal. So if he was an all A student and suddenly started getting C's, D's, and F's in his work, that student is at risk. If that student has always been just physically existing in your classroom but never participating, never actively engaging in any activity by pair, by group, or individual, that student is also at risk. Your next question there is, the follow-up is, what do you think causes it? For me, it's always more than one factor. It can be a factor at home, a factor in school. It can also be an internal factor. So for me, it's always a combination of external and internal factors that put a student at risk in the educational setting. Question number 5. So this is connected to the previous one. Given what you say the causes are, what do you perceive as the solutions? For example, I said that it is, for me, always a combination of internal and external factors. Then it would be logical to say that the solutions should also come from internal and external factors. The solution is not, or will not only come from me as a teacher. It has to be a community. It has to be a combination still of external and internal factors. Question number 6. How are you strategizing instructionally to move or maintain students in the classroom? So this has something to do with your classroom management, which I may say is a big thing, a major thing for them around here. How you manage your class tells them a lot, and they're really keen on that one when they do observations. So this is a question that you would want to really ponder on and make sure that your answer really highlights what you really are capable of doing and what really you are doing in your own classroom. Since we will assume that you have at least 2 years teaching experience by the time that you do the interview. So I guess the simplest answer that you can come up with for this question is, you make sure that you plan your lesson wherein there's no downtime for the students. There is no idle time, because the moment students are idle, classroom management will go off the roof. So keep them occupied through relevant classroom activities. Question number 7. What have you learned and or applied from students that have not had success in your classroom? While editing, I realized that I misinterpreted this question. Your answer should be something you have learned from a student who is struggling in your class. Perhaps you can say that the student has allowed you to reflect on your teaching styles and techniques, or you can also say that the student has challenged you and allowed you to be more mindful of your students' individualities. So, question number 8. Name an instructional strategy you would use to improve student performance. So again, Google is right there, but beyond Google, make sure whatever you answer is something that you personally have done or adhere to as a teacher. Because once you say something that you just Googled, and the moment you get to your school, when they observe you, they're gonna look for that one. Because trust me, they will remember. They will remember and they will look for that. So you don't want them thinking like, what we see here inside the classroom is like a totally different person from the one we talked to during the interview. You don't want that impression. You would want to be consistent. You would want to be you during the interview and in your classroom. Question number 9. Describe how you would integrate vocabulary from other areas within your lesson. Describe how you integrate vocabulary in your daily lesson. I guess the first question would be for ELA teachers, because it's like a given that we do vocabulary, words, and meanings every time we teach. And basically it's easy because articles, like for example, if we're talking about argumentative essay, we try to get articles that are, for example, from the field of law, from the field of medicine, from the field of welding. So those articles would include words that or jargons specific to that field, and that would be us introducing vocabulary from other areas to our students. What if you're not an ELA major? How do you introduce or integrate vocabulary in your daily lesson. I believe in math for math teachers and science teachers. In the construction of your word problems, you can definitely play around that one. You can use words that students might not be familiar with and make it something that's going to be part of their word bank from that point on. For social studies, I think it's basically the same as well with the articles that you choose to expose your students to. That's where you can pick like salient vocabulary or words that you believe your students should know at this point, especially given their grade level and their age. Even movies, using movies and videos, you can also integrate vocabulary in that one. Or simply posting new words every day. You have like word of the day every day in your room. That's also one strategy that you can cite if you are using it. Question number 10. Tell me about one of the most difficult times you have experienced in your classroom and what did you learn from it? So again, a walk down memory lane. What was that one point in your teaching career which you still consider as the most difficult, if not the most difficult, a difficult situation? And how did you navigate through it? It can be as simple as students just being in the worst mood. There will always be days where you step into the classroom, you're such in a great mood as a teacher. You've prepared the lesson for the day so well. You're so excited to implement the lesson, but your students are just not there. They're physically there, but their minds are everywhere, gossiping on games, sleeping, everything. And it's not you. That sometimes it's frustrating because you know it's not you, because you're there with the right mindset, you're prepared, your lesson is actually really good, but then students are just not there. The students just don't get it, and it can be frustrating. So how do you handle that? If you have experienced that, how did you navigate through that situation? Did you adapt by changing some of the activities that you prepared to cater the mood of the students at present, or what did you do? So what was the worst experience that you have had experienced? That's a lot of experience, but yeah, what was the worst? And how did you overcome, or how did you navigate through it? Question number 11. How important is it to receive professional development and why? I will go back to my personal philosophy. As above, so below. I cannot give what I do not have. So being able to go through professional development constantly will allow me to also continue to give new things and continue to improve my craft for my students. Because once I stop learning, at some point, I'm going to stop being an effective and efficient teacher. And it's also, for me, certain seminars and trainings allow you to rekindle a fickle fire within you. You know, sometimes when we're too tired teaching, when we feel burnt out and everything, a part of us as a teacher dies. We just start teaching. We start to teach because we need to teach. We have to teach. And the heart is no longer there. Sometimes what it takes is a simple session, a simple professional development session, and you'll go out, you leave that session hall renewed with a fire rekindled in you, or you will leave that session hall reminded of why you chose to teach in the first place. Question number 12. What is your standard method of instructional delivery? This is your lesson planning. So what do you adhere to in lesson planning? In the Philippines, I know 4 A's is the common one, but I know there are also other variations on how the lesson plan progresses from one point to the other. So there's no right or wrong answer. What do you adhere to? How do you plan your lessons? How do you structure them? And how do you make sure that you effectively deliver your instruction? So again, this is on lesson planning. Question number 13. How would you deal with a student who has no supplies for class? I think this is a universal truth. Maybe some people, even myself, before I went here in the United States, would think that the lack of supplies is only true in third world countries. you'd think that students in America would always have what they need when going to school, but reality-wise, what the students back home in the Philippines experience, what they lack, what they struggle with, students here in South Carolina also struggle with them. You just change it because of the cultural background and their cultural realities, but basically the same theme. It's the same underlying theme with their struggles and lacks. And one of them is going to school without enough classroom supplies or without the requirements that your teacher asks you. So how do you address that? To me personally, what I do is I provide. So there's a corner in the classroom, a small corner in the classroom where students are free to get pens, pencils, crayons, free to borrow crayons, coloring materials, construction papers, bond papers, or copy papers. So there's that small corner wherein students won't be ashamed to go to get what they need during projects or anything. So I think that's a good practice, to just have that space, that safe space or safe corner wherein students can, oh, I don't have a pencil, I don't have a pen. Also, it's a good thing, because if you have a test and then their excuse is, I won't do it, Miss A, because I don't have a pen, get one from the corner. It also stops them from their alibis, you know. It also puts an end to excuses, because when they say, oh, I can't do my project, Miss A, I don't have coloring materials. Okay, I have colored pencils, I have markers, I have crayons in there. Get some and do your project. So it's hitting two birds with one stone, basically. Question number 14. Why are you interested in working in our district? Now, in my previous video, I stated that you should do your research on your school district, and the community where your district and your school is found. This is where that research would come handy. So what have you seen? What have you found out about your school and your school district or the community that you could say made you or convinced you that this is a school for me? I would want to work here. So it can either be you found the community challenging, you want change, you want something that will push you out of your comfort zone, and as you did your research, the school is a perfect venue for that. Or you can say that whatever you found, what information you found about the school resonates to you personally because the philosophy of the school aligns with your philosophy as a teacher. The mission, vision of the school aligns with your philosophy as a teacher. So make sure you do your research so you can make a connection between your school or the school district and yourself. And last question. Question 15. Do you have any questions for us? Again, in my previous video, I stated it's one of my tips, prepare a question for your interviewer because it's going to solidify how interested you are to be part of their team or of the school. So there you go. Those are the teacher interview questions in South Carolina. I really do hope that these questions help you or this video helps you. If it does, please give it a thumbs up, share it so more teachers or more aspiring teachers could benefit from it. If you haven't subscribed, please click that subscribe button and help me grow our community. Feel free to leave a comment, a question, a suggestion in the comment section down below, and I will try my best to get back to you as soon as I can. So God bless you with whatever journey you are in, and share with me any good news that you want to share, and I hope you enjoy the process more than anything else. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.